Man, this is Deion Dawkins, man, and you're listening to The Scoop on OurScoop.com. You already know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Scoop, the official weekly podcast of OurScoop.com, the authority on Temple Athletics. We're on to episode 41 of season 10. We got a full house. I'm John DiCarlo, joined by Ryan Mack, Colin Schofield, Jason Yevis, Kyle Gauss, and Johnny Zawizlak, clean-shaven Johnny Zawizlak, as Kyle pointed out. Johnny, are you to blame or not to blame for what is currently happening in New York with these Philadelphia Phillies?
I would say no, but you never know. You never know who's to blame.
Are you doing your part to make sure the bullpen can be all that it can be right now?
I put water out there.
We don't know. Romano might just be anti-water.
You can lead a bullpen to water, but you can't make them throw strikes. How's that?
Fair enough. Very fair point.
That's my baseball humor for the day.
America's team is surging, though, so go Braves.
Oh, they did call them that when they were on TBS, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're America's team?
Sure.
Yeah, because TBS used to
when
be
they were
like,
on TBS Superstation. Yeah.
Yeah, when they were on TBS, like anybody could watch the Braves. So
Yeah, it was like 120 games a year on the Superstation.
yeah. Got a Seamhead podcast here. A lot of baseball talk.
I love baseball
That's right.
talk. I love
Colin, are you
baseball.
allowed to tell us who your dad just played golf with?
I think so. My dad told me twice in the last 2 weeks he's played golf with Cal Ripken Jr. As if it was like a normal occurrence, which I was just befuddled by. But
Yeah,
I don't
that's a
expect
big
anything
name.
else.
Yeah, I've heard of that guy.
If you're a suburban dad, Cal Ripken Jr. invented or owns or whatever quick ball, which is like the replacement for T-ball now. Instead of putting kids in front of like a tee and having them go play outfield, they just like have them like constantly like doing stuff and they're throwing beanbags and stuff. It's a Cal Ripken initiative.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Nice.
Tell Mr. Schofield.
I'll have to
Your dad.
ask him about that.
Yeah, let's put that on the
Did you
agenda.
play with? Did your dad play with his brother? Was Billy Ripken there?
And if so,
I don't
can,
think
and if,
Did it have fuckface written on the golf club?
I was going to say, if he has any of those cards left, just let me know. Those are worth money.
It's a phenomenal
Fuck
card.
that.
Are we keeping that in the?
I'm sorry, I didn't invent the card.
That's why Johnny Zawizlak gets 90 grand a year and benefits.
Is that what it is?
That check has not cleared yet. I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that check.
They're only $800 for a PSA 9.
Kyle just keeps saying it.
I mean, I feel like
Am I supposed to
I'd be
edit
doing
that
people a
out?
discredit if it did. I can get. Oh, you can get a PSA like. I can get. Never mind. You can get one for $80. I might buy that.
Yeah. Colin, are you familiar with this? The Billy Ripken card? Are you currently
Say
looking
it.
it up?
Actively looking
Billy
it up
Ripken
as-
what,
as we
John?
speak.
You've never heard about this?
No.
Yeah.
Google Billy Ripken card. You don't even have
Is
to
it
Google
just
fuckface.
Yes, that's the
Said it
I
again.
card.
have one of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
They then reprinted them with it just like a black, like they blacked it out. But there's an entire batch that have the version. So,
Before Fleer was really good with Photoshop.
I'm so certain I have at least one of these cards.
Here we go. You pay off some student loans with that thing.
I'll have to
again,
find
they're
it.
not as expensive as you would think.
It doesn't fit the
There's a
narrative.
T-shirt of it. I'll get a T-shirt.
Get that. Anyway, I'm going to take a wild guess and say that all of you who are listening did not tune into the scoop this week to hear about Billy Ripken or a few F-bombs. But we can tell
Face.
you, what did you say?
Face.
Yes. Yeah.
Also, I will say last week, since the last time we recorded, my 5-year-old son said effing Christ twice. Just like, and I legitimately don't say that phrase that often. Like, I don't combine those two words, not like intentionally, just not the way I speak.
Now, how did you handle it?
Well, we asked him, where'd you hear that from? Oh, he actually said he heard it from Meg, which I also think is not true. And then we just told him it's a bad word, trying to say those things, even if you hear other people say those things, etc. I think it's from watching The Bear with him in the room.
Oh, okay.
That makes
That'll
sense.
do it.
Yeah. that adds
Yeah.
up.
Did he say this on Easter Sunday?
No, it was like Thursday.
All right. Holy Thursday. The holiest of Thursdays.
My mother-in-law told me today about Dingus Monday, which is some Polish post-Easter thing where people hit each other with the wooden switches from Palm Sunday. Like, it's It was a wild conversation.
This is Claire Bear said this?
Yeah, well, she tried framing it as it was the one day a year that Polish women are allowed to ask Polish men to marry them. And I was like, that can't be true. So, so I immediately fact checked it. It involves hitting people with palm switches.
Wow.
Dingus Monday.
We are cooking with gas so far. Wide range of topics. Anyway, today is April 22nd, a day college basketball coaches have probably been eagerly awaiting because it's the last day at the transfer portal window will remain open. We'll talk about what that means for Adam Fisher and Diane Richardson. We'll talk about what you've been missing on the football front if you're not subscribed to Owl Scoop. And this is going to be another mailbag heavy episode where we get to as many of your questions as possible. I also talked to Andrew Kelly, the new president of the Temple University Owl Club. He shared a lot of details about what's ahead for the Owl Club with staffing, with fundraising, and a lot more. So we hope you'll enjoy that interview. The Scoop, as always, brought to you by Greenspan and Greenspan Injury Lawyers. If you've been injured while on the road or the highway and the crash was someone else's fault, the insurance company is not going to be on your side. You need us, Temple Law grads, who will fight hard to get the compensation that you deserve. We only get paid if we win, so in Pennsylvania or New York, call us today at 215-261-7359. That's 215-261-7359. And you can find them on the web at greenspans-law.com. That's greenspans-law.com. Jay, Johnny, on or around this date is now in your capable hands. You guys are sitting next to each other. Hopefully you don't kill each other.
This is a very important day for on or around this date because while I've been away, obviously I don't listen to the Scoop while I'm not here, so I haven't been able to hear how Jay has been doing while I've been gone. So today I'm going to give Jay the floor and then give him notes after he's done doing on or around this date all by himself.
Peer review.
So, Jay, without further ado, the floor is yours.
I just want to first say this is a little bit unnecessary for someone who's done it 3 times, like without you.
Well, I haven't,
that's fair.
I'm giving you the floor now. Don't.
I'm also going to say I see right through this. Johnny did not prepare for this segment.
No, that's definitely not at all what happened. That's definitely not at all what happened.
Well, that should tell you a lot about the dynamic here, where one of us prepares and, well, the other.
What did I say right before we
Anyway,
joined? Go ahead.
Welcome to
ahead.
On or Around This Date. I'm your host, Jason Nieves. I was gonna add a nickname in there, but it's unnecessary. John, birthdays or events?
Let's go events. We'll close out with birthdays.
Events. Okay. This American band, which was heavily influential in the rise of punk, dropped its debut album on April 23rd, 1976.
The Ramones?
It is the Ramones. That was quick trivia. Okay.
Keep up, guys.
This baseball park hosted its first Major League Baseball game on April 23rd, 1914.
Fenway.
No.
Old Yankee Stadium.
No.
Wrigley Field.
It is Wrigley Field. Okay. This former president, who was the first president to resign from office, died on April 22nd, 1994.
Nixon.
Nixon. Okay.
Johnny's idol.
Dick Nixon to kick around.
Why? I'm just sitting here.
Okay. Anyway, my last event, this holiday was first celebrated on April 22nd, 1970.
Oh, I know this because Jordan asked me if it was that today, Earth Day.
It is Earth Day.
Jordan asked me if it was Earth Day, and I said, "What do your teachers say?" They say it's Earth Day. I said, great, it's Earth Day. I have no idea.
Fair enough. We're going to transition over to birthdays. First one, this actor was born April 22nd, 1937 in Neptune City, New Jersey, and is pretty numerous for winning multiple Oscars for great roles. And he was in a comic book movie that the younger generation, we probably recognize him more as than anything else.
1937, Neptune, New Jersey.
This actor and Michael Caine are the only 2 actors to receive an Academy Award nominations in every decade from 1960s to the 2000s.
Nicholson?
It is Nicholson.
Wow.
Jack Nicholson.
He's
I
88
I had a
years old.
book about the states growing up, and Nicholson was from Jersey. That's the only reason I got. They had a picture of
Here we
him
go.
going through in The Shining.
That's good. 1937.
88 years old. Good for him.
Wow. Damn.
When I say comic book movie, I more remember him from Batman. That was like my first like time ever seeing like Jack Nicholson really.
Yeah.
So
He was good. He was good in Batman.
all right. This American physicist was born April 22nd, 1904. And he recently had a movie about him.
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer.
Hmm.
All right. This NFL running back was born April 22nd, 1986 in Oakland, California. And he loves some Skittles.
Marshawn
Lynch.
Lynch.
Marshawn Lynch.
Marshawn Lynch is like 3 years older than me.
Yeah.
I don't know how to address that one. I'll leave that. I'll leave that one in the air. All right. This wrestler was born April 23rd, 1977. And I won't say where he's from because it'll be very obvious to the wrestling fans, but he recently became a new record holder this past weekend.
Oh, John
John
Cena.
Cena.
John Cena.
Where was he born?
Westbury, Massachusetts.
Oh.
West Newbury, Massachusetts.
That wouldn't have given it away to me.
I've heard it so many times.
John
Him coming
Cena
down
is
to the
the-
ring that it
He's
sticks in
a
my
year
mind.
younger than me.
Oh, here, John Cena just went on the Pat McAfee show and talked about how he got bullied into getting hair transplants. You haven't had to do that.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was crazy.
It's a good moment for you.
Shut up.
I'm saying I'm complimenting you. It's a
Kyle-
positive
Kyle,
moment.
That was a really nice compliment.
Yeah.
And I think it got lost in like it seemed like it
Yeah,
was a
you
slight
took that
against
as an
John,
insult.
but it was a
It was
really
not
nice
an insult.
compliment.
Yeah. He had to get a medical procedure to try to accomplish what you're doing naturally. Like that's a positive.
That's
thing.
impressive.
You should be proud of yourself,
You should
John.
be proud.
It affects 7 out of 10 men.
You're one of the 30%, John. You're
This
one
is,
of the
like, this is like the first day to war, first day for war. Look to your left, look to your right. Only one of you is going to come back with hair.
It's gonna be me.
There's only two of us.
Kyle's proud of himself. I know that. That's one of Kyle's smiles.
Yeah.
That sounds like an organization you're going to start in the future. Kyle Smiles.
I think I told you before. I have a vivid memory in like first grade or second grade when you're learning about rhyming. I'm having to draw a picture of Kyle's smile could run a mile. I remember that having to draw a smile, give it human legs, depict it running a mile.
Is that your foundation? It's a what are you raising money for?
If Kyle smiles,
Yeah.
good question. I'm using it as a front, and
God.
it's like the
Okay.
Susan B.
I
Komen
knew that there was gonna be
Susan B.
something.
Komen Foundation, where 8 out of every 10 cents comes to me.
Good Lord.
Where do the other two cents go?
Smiles.
Smiles for Kyle.
Smiles
so
for
the other
me.
2 cents are also
It's
going
my
to you.
own entertainment still.
Oh man.
So this is just a GoFundMe for Kyle.
Yeah, essentially. Essentially, this is just a Venmo account for me.
Whew.
All right, we've gotten far from the plot. I have one more birthday. This president, the 15th president of the United States, was born April 23rd, 1791.
You said 15th or 5th?
15th.
So that's one before Lincoln.
He was also the Secretary of State from 1845 to 1849 and represented Pennsylvania in both houses.
Tyler
No,
Buchanan.
Buchanan.
Wow.
All right, that does
I
it's
think I've screwed
around
up Tyler on two scoops lately.
that does honor around this date where we've heard what Kyle's going to do with his fundraising activities, and that Johnny doesn't prepare for these.
I was 5 off with Tyler. That's not good for me.
Have you always? Is this a recent thing where you've brushed up on presidents, or has this always been a point of pride for you? It's impressive.
First of all, I don't consider myself brushed up on them whatsoever. I just paid a little bit of attention at certain points during history class. But no, I feel like I probably was better at it back in like high school or stuff. And now, no, it's just benchmarks. It's easy to remember. 1 Washington, 3 Jefferson, 16 Lincoln, and then you kind of just patch in between. There's some Adamses in there, 2 and 5.
How? I still don't get how you do that, Kyle.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
That's
Well, those are
Yeah.
just like the marquee ones, right?
Oh yeah.
They're up on Rushmore.
Oh yeah.
1, 3, 16, and then you bench in from there.
I could do that with like WrestleManias. I can't do that with presidents. We're built different.
Yeah, a little bit.
Good stuff, Jay. Johnny, Johnny, let
Johnny,
me
what's
ask
your
you
what's your
Yeah,
critique?
let's
What's
get
your
your
peer
peer
review?
I give it. Why are you staring at me
I'm
like that?
just attentive.
I'm gonna give you a B plus. I think you did a great job. I think you kind of stuttered towards the end with the you didn't stick to the landing of ending the show. But other than that, I think you did really good.
I have a lot of things to say to you, but I'll wait till we're all fair. Continue.
Johnny, if you should at all just slip up in the slightest later on in this episode, you're on notice now.
Yeah.
You got to
Okay.
lead by example.
That's fine. I live off pressure.
You do?
Pressure makes
Diamonds.
diamonds.
Makes Johnny's Whizlax.
That's right.
That didn't come out right.
Wait, hey,
Moving on.
Nonetheless, at the outset of the show, I mentioned that I talked to Andrew Kelly, the new president of the Temple University Out Club. Had a good conversation with him. Andrew, for those of you, again, who don't know, I think a lot of you listening to this podcast are pretty tuned in Temple fans, but for those of you who are not, you might not know what the Out Club is, how it helps the Temple Athletic Department fundraise. So had a chance to talk to Andrew about his role, a few things that are on the horizon for them, some additional staffing that they are certainly going to need, and a lot of insight in just to why he took on this position against a volunteer position, but some interesting stuff here that I think fans would like to know and be interested in knowing. So we'll play this for you, and then we'll hop into some football conversation and then get into a very full mailbag that's really going to set the agenda for the rest of the show with everything that you guys would want to stay updated on. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Andrew Kelly. And like I said, we'll go with some football and some mailbag questions after that. Andrew, just, for people who don't know, tell our listeners about what goes into being president of the Out Club. It's a volunteer position. I think that some people don't even know that.
Yeah, no, thanks, John, for having me on. Yeah, the Out Club, our mission is to raise money for the benefit of our student athletes here at Temple University. And whether that means through nutrition, through transportation, through equipment at the facilities, we're here really to fund the gap that athletics is not able to finance or able to budget for. So we raise money for the benefit of the student athletes. Obviously, it's a changing world. So what does that mean as a benefit? Now with NIL here, we released the Competitive Excellence Fund, which is raising money for the direct payment of players. And hopefully that comes to fruition soon with the House settlement that's ongoing in the courts right now. But from a volunteer role, the Out Club's made up of, I'd say, between 15 and 20, either alumni from Temple University, but we also have 2 student athletes that sit on that board. And we really go out and we want to raise money and we want to engage with the fans that really care about athletics here at Temple.
What's your Temple story? Like, why do you want to do this? Again, it's not something, it's a volunteer position. You don't have to do it, but what made you want to do it? And it's as cheesy as it sounds, what's your why behind it?
Yeah, so I came to Temple 2009. Fran Dunphy was here. We were starting on the Al Golden path with the football team. Bernard Pierce, so I think it was his senior or his last year here at Temple. I'm a person who likes to be involved. I'm either all in or I'm all out. So really athletics, I was not an athlete in college, but I understand the importance of athletics to our student athletes. I was in Greek life here at Temple, took on leadership roles. When I interview professionals full time, there's 2 individuals I like to interview. 1, student athletes, and 2, individuals that had Greek life. And the reason for that is they understand time management and they understand commitment to something. So when this opportunity arose, I wanted to take advantage of it because I wanted to have a piece. I wanted to have my hand involved in the pie and building the pie. But there's a lot of hard work. It's great working with athletics, working with the university, working with institutional advancement. Tonight I'll be going to the Student Athletic Advisory Committee meeting here on campus at 8 p.m. And that's when you remember why you do this, because the student athletes, they're real people. They each have their own story. They each have their own likes and dislikes. And hearing how our alumni make an impact on their life and their everyday activities, that's the why.
What's your vision of what you want to do and can do as the Owl Club president? Like as a volunteer, again, you're not the athletic director. This isn't a full-time role for you. How much change can you bring about? Like if somebody's like a fan, like a fervent fan came to you and said, what can you do? Like what can you do in your role?
Yeah, so we're here to raise money. The university has made a financial commitment for the revenue share. The money we raise above and beyond that through the Competitive Excellence Fund will be on top of what the university is subsidizing.
Yeah, so it's not a backfill.
It is not. Correct. It is not a backfill. We have a commitment from the university that they're going to fund that amount. Anything we raise will be at the discretion of the coaches on how they want to spend that money. We're the fundraising aspect. And I give Andy Carl a lot of credit. He was working multiple hats when he was running the Tough Fund. He's raising money, he's working with agent, he's working with players, and he's going through how that money is being dispersed. We don't have that. We raise money, we hand it off to the coaches, and the coaches spend the money. With regards to kind of how our organization can set the direction, we have a great working relationship with athletics. Arthur Johnson, the athletic director. I've met Al Cecchio, who's now taken over institutional advancement on an interim basis. He has a lot of great fundraising experience, but he has Temple experience as well. He's been here. He raised money for the Leocoris Center when it was being built. He left when President Leocoris left the university as well. So he has ties to this university. He gets it, and Philadelphia is home for him. So with regards to kind of direction, there's three things I want to live on for the Owl Club, and it's really my strategic plan. One, simple: communication. We need to do a better job at communicating to the fans, our members, and to stakeholders within athletics. Number two, we got to do a better job of building relationships. So once our members join, or prospective members are interested in joining, we need to build relationships with them. And then third, the experiences. We need to expand upon the experiences that our members have, whether it's at a sporting event or whether it's at an Owl Club event on campus or somewhere else. Those three things, I think we're going to be able to raise more money. We're going to be able to gain more members, and all of that is to the benefit of our student athletes.
How much benchmarking do you guys do? I don't think anybody expects Temple to be the machine that Ohio State is, or Notre Dame. These are like longstanding programs, and Columbus is sort of a college town. It's a city, but like, do you guys have aspirate institutions and say like, well, we want to be looking at what Tulane has been able to do, or SMU? Like, do you guys do that type of benchmarking when you look at like goal setting and stuff like that? Do you have comp sets?
Yeah, so we comp ourselves against the conference. The American Conference is what we benchmark ourselves about. Our Owl Club development staff, which are full-time employees. Right now it's 4 employees. We are going to be hiring a leader for that organization in the next 2 months. And we, I believe, have a headcount for another 2 or 3 individuals to be added as well. So
there's full-time in the athletic department.
Those are full-time in the institutional advancement to be associated with athletics. And that headcount right now will go from 4 to 7 or 8.
Okay.
That's what it was pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going to get back to. So we have a financial investment from the university to be made in athletics in those roles. So this is something that is important to the university. But our 4 existing employees, Austin, Dominia, Dave, and Rob, they're awesome. We're lucky to have them. They have a combination of institutional knowledge with Rob and Dave, but then also knowledge from other schools with Dominia and Austin. We do benchmark ourselves, but at the end of the day as well, we have an athletic director who sits on the March Madness selection committee. He talks to other university athletic directors. He gains information from them. We have Austin, who did his undergrad at Kentucky. We have information that he's pulling from those universities. So are we benchmarking ourselves against Kentucky or Louisville? No, we're not. But do we have knowledge of what other institutions are doing? Yeah, we do.
When you sit down with a guy like Al Cecchio, or what I guess my question is, with Al being here, and you talked about the institutional knowledge he has, how much access does the Owl Club get to him and say like, hey, is he involved in like goal setting? If you say like, okay, like this is like, will you guys in the future have like stated fundraising goals that you might even put on the website and say like, if it's an Owl Club campaign similar to like a capital campaign, do you do that? Is that something that fans will expect to see on the website? And do you do that in conjunction with somebody like Al?
Yeah, so obviously the university, President Fry has announced that there will be a capital campaign coming out for the university's anniversary coming up in the next 10 years. athletics will play a part in that. We have not had discussions yet on what our fundraising goals will be. A part of my plan, I've only been the president now for less than 2 months.
Yeah.
So a lot has happened in those 2 months, and there's a lot of strategic changes that are going on at the university and in institutional advancement. But a lot of stuff going on outside of athletics and institutional advancement as well. Just stuff kind of in the political environment, higher education, and stuff like that are outside of our forces. But yes, to your point about a question on strategic planning, that will be occurring. And what I want to do and what I plan on having done this summer in conjunction with the athletic staff and Arthur Johnson is having a roundtable strategic planning meeting with not only the Owl Club board, but also the key stakeholders, whether it be the head coaches or representatives from their sports, the athletic department staff, in addition to the Owl Club development staff, and maybe marketing as well. We need to identify the key stakeholders, because where we all are siloed with our different tasks, whether it be fan engagement or fundraising or corporate relations or communication, we all have the same purpose, and it's to enhance Temple athletics. So if we work together in a positive manner, we're going to go farther.
A few weeks ago when they had that webinar, again, this is very anecdotal. I talked to a couple of people like, I wish there was a fundraising person on the call. Do you anticipate the athletic department having more of those webinars and like bringing someone like you on? Because like if they want to hear from a fundraising person, is that something that could be in the plans as well?
So we haven't discussed that. I will take that back to the team and recommend that. With regards to the webinar last week, that was something that was done solely with the athletic department.
Yeah.
We were a part of some of the communications and the build-up around it. But yeah, I think what I'm a big advocate for is transparency and openness. This week, the Temple or the Owl Club newsletter will be coming out, and there's going to be a different design to it. You're going to have more access to who are the board members on the Owl Club. Myself, I will have a message in a monthly newsletter out to all the members as well. What you'll also find on there is my email address. I'm open to ideas, I'm open to communication, and I'm open to transparency. I'll even tell you this. My email address is andrew.kelly@temple.edu. So
Pretty easy to remember, yeah.
Pretty easy to remember. First name dot last name @temple.edu. And I'm open to any idea, and I'm open to engaging in conversation with any fan, booster, donor, or anyone.
You have time for a couple mailbag questions?
I do.
These are coming from screen names on our message board here. This is screen name Temple J. How do you see the Owl Club's mandate with NIL as a retention of athletes or as an opportunity to elevate athletics and then internally help Temple University with enrollment?
Yeah, I think there's a few different parts in there. And as I kind of touched on, the Owl Club is there to fundraise money. How it's used, that's going to be up to our coaches.
Yeah.
Coach Keeler, Coach Fisher, Coach Richardson, and the Olympic sport coaches, they are going to have the ability to spend the money that they receive. I understand that the coaches every week get an update on how much money is in their competitive excellence fund allocations. That's done through the athletic department. So we're not spending the money. So I'm not going to, I have no view on if it's being used for retention or new players.
Yeah.
With regards to kind of, what was the second part of that question? Sorry.
How do you see the Owl Club? How do you see the Owl Club's mandate with NIL as a retention of athletes or as an opportunity to elevate athletics and win championships, and then internally help Temple University with enrollment?
Yeah. So the second part of that, with regards to enrollment, about 2 weeks ago, being the president of the Owl Club, I'm invited to the University Alumni Association's semester parliament meetings. We had a presentation that was presented to us by the new leader of strategic communications. Temple is going to be going through a branding campaign in the upcoming years. Athletics is going to play a key part of that. Athletics has viewers on TV. It's a market to go out and get our name out there as a university.
So they see athletics as, like, I know it's a cliche that everybody hears. So they, in some way, even if they didn't say it this way, they do see athletics as potentially like that front porch to the university.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely an aspect, and it's something that's going to be used as a pillar for enrollment. Yeah. We see back in 2015, 2016, when the football team beat Penn State, we had the games against Notre Dame on College Game Day. The basketball teams, I believe, were in March Madness. Enrollment numbers were up. Now, there's going to be a correlation. It's not directly tied to it.
Right.
Obviously, the city has some stuff going on. If you look at our enrollment numbers during the pandemic, city crime, and some other issues that had an adverse effect. But yeah, athletics is a part of that branding mission, and there'll be more to come out on that.
Yeah. Another mailbag question here. The screen name is TUALS37. What is the plan to develop partnerships with corporations and wealthy donors to increase the Excellence Fund above the American Athletic Conference minimum? Are there any advanced discussions to increase the fund above the minimum in the short term?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, John. And we, as a university, cannot be sustainable by the individual donors. Corporations will need to play a part of this. We had Van Wagner, who's the corporate sponsorship multimedia rights company employed by the university, at our last board meeting, and they're doing great things every day. They're reaching out to a handful of different companies every day. With regards to wealthy donors and corporations, our Owl Club development staff is reaching out to them and building relationships. It's not a immediate flip the switch and get a check in. It's building relationships for the long term. Those are what wealthy donors engage with. It is not a write a check, and that's why they're wealthy. They don't just jump right into something. With regards to kind of raising the money, or raising money above the revenue share amount that the university is providing, again, everything we raise is above and beyond. There's no subsidizing it. So I'll say this: we had Temple Giving Days 2 weeks ago. Athletics raised over $200,000 in 1 week. That's a great amount. And that's 1 week with 4 individuals. I'm very excited to see what we'll be able to raise when we have 8 full-time professionals in that role, and longer than a week period, and more of a build out as well.
Yeah.
So we're working towards that, and more to come on that as well.
Yeah. Got another question here just now. The screen name is Mike TB31. Part of this you already, second part of his question was, what does the Owl Club need to change to make an impact at Temple? I feel like you've already addressed that. The first part of his question is, what have you asked Arthur Johnson for to be able to succeed in the NIL space? So, I mean, in other words, do you go to Arthur and say, yes, we are a fundraising outlet, I'm a volunteer here, but here's what I feel we need to be successful to help you?
Yeah, I mean, I talk to Arthur 4 or 5 times a week. I think in the first week as president, and my wife, next time she sees him, will probably give him a little crap for it, but I think he called me at 7:30 in the morning to pick my brain for an hour and a half. So we talk. I'll say this: the 4 individuals that are going to be hired full-time, that was at the recommendation of Arthur Johnson to the university to make an investment in athletics. He knows that we need more individuals to raise more money, and that all money we raise will be for the benefit of our student athletes and the benefit of our coaches. So he's open to discussions. I feel as if him and I have a very good working relationship, and we see eye to eye on things. And just like any relationship, we could disagree, but we have open communication, and we hear each other out. And I think that's the important factor. A lot of times you see situations where if people disagree, there's negativity and you can no longer work together. I don't see that with Arthur, myself, or even other board members on the Owl Club. We have conversations and we move the needle. And what I'll say about Arthur and the rest of the athletic staff, they care about this place. They understand the student athletes are why they do this, and the university is very important to them.
Yeah. This is from me. You have the 9, that group that's described in the Owl Club website as a group that supports at the 50,000 plus annual unrestricted level. And I think you have 4 vacancies there. Obviously, anybody could say we want to get back up to 9. Would that still be an individual, like, family thing, or could that 9 voids there, could that be filled by corporations, or will that still be like an individual, like, family type of thing?
So I think that's going to be up to the individual that's hired in the next 2 months to lead institutional advancement for athletics and lead the Owl Club development staff. Pat Marion, who's the immediate past president of the Owl Club, he still sits on the executive board. Him and his wife, Linda, are a 9 member. And we've had discussions on how do we fill those vacancies. because if there's 4 vacancies, that's $200,000 to athletics. So that is something that's important. It's not only retaining or obtaining new members, but it's also increasing donor levels at existing levels. And again, I know Rob Silk and Austin Mullen, both in the major gifts area of the Owl Club development team, they're having conversations with donors regarding that. What I also think we're going to be able to monetize off of as well, naming rights. Where obviously Arthur Johnson's role as the athletic director is named after Stan and Debbie. So being able to monetize potentially football, basketball, buildings, rooms, anything like that will be able to kind of further expand donation levels as well.
Yeah. Final question for you, and I appreciate your time today. I wish we had more time. You're hanging out at the shore, you're back home in Lancaster or something, and somebody says, you start striking up a conversation, you realize they're a Temple alum, and they know what you do. What's your pitch to them as to why they should donate and make a difference? Give me your pitch. Or how, and beyond that, how much of that are you doing in addition to like leading in this position? If somebody gets in front of you, what's your pitch to give the Temple?
Yeah, I mean, the pitch to give the Temple is everyone who's attached to this university has memories from this university. Those memories are because of someone else. This place wasn't built yesterday. This place has been an accumulation of people giving their time, their energy, and their efforts back. And it's upon us as alumni to give our time and our money back to the university to help out student athletes. The college sports world is changing every day. Every day. And today's a great day because not only is it the anniversary of my engagement to my wife, but it's also, thank you, it's also the closing of players for basketball being able to enter into the transfer portal. So that's something that wasn't around 5, 6, 7 years ago. So this is a unique time where individuals who are not engaged with Temple can get engaged. And a lot of times that pitch is only about money. I don't want it to be about only money. The Owl Club right now, in my mind, is a donor board. I want to change that to a fundraising board. And those are conversations we have. And you ask about the communication with Arthur. He's aligned with that as well. The Owl Club development staff is aligned. I want to build a team of warriors to go out and raise money for this university. And individuals who don't have the financial means to make that donation, they could help out on committees, they could help out on the board, and they could help out in just being an advocate for the university. So there's different ways of making those pitches. And I'll kind of finish last. What I think being open and transparent to individuals and recognizing that from an athletic performance perspective, team perspective, we haven't succeeded much in the last few years. And by the university alumni coming together and fans coming together and bringing positive energy and resources, whether it be time or money, you were able to build upon that and build something special.
Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. John, happy to come on anytime. I don't want this to be a one and done thing. Be in this role hopefully for 2 years, and happy to come on again.
Thanks. Appreciate it. A big thank you to Andrew Kelly for joining us on The Scoop this week. As he mentioned there, the athletic department is going to be adding a couple fundraising positions, which they sorely need. So I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation. We're going to talk hoops in the mailbag. I think we can certainly say by the time we record next week, I think we're going to have a few more commitments to talk about, a few more.
You never know. It could all just come out at once. It could be like, here's your homecoming court. All at once. You don't have to tease them. You can just burst them out.
Homecoming court. So that's a good analogy. Good analogy.
You don't know the process, logistics of planning homecoming court. But I imagine they kind of just rattle them off.
Were you on the homecoming court at Downingtown West?
No.
Were any of you guys on your homecoming court?
I was not.
Nah.
I was my senior.
You were?
Yeah.
You?
Yeah.
I didn't win, but I was on it.
Jay, did the Milton Hershey School have a homecoming court?
No, my next question was like, what was everyone's like superlatives? Like what, most likely to be what? Because I was.
Keep in
I don't
mind, I
remember what it
graduated
was.
high school in 1994. I can barely remember. I don't know.
I didn't win anything. I didn't get any superlatives.
Well, Well, yeah, how big was your graduating class, Jay? Did everybody get superlative?
No, we were like
Jesus.
we had the largest class when I graduated, and it was like 220.
Okay, that's
That's
actually
pretty
bigger than
big.
I thought. For
Yeah.
I think my
Okay.
graduating class was
How
like
small have you thought
close
middle
to
Hershey classes were?
700
Well, I
people.
honestly assume everyone, other than you, up until this moment, everybody I've ever interacted with from that school is a certified freak. So I just kind of assumed you guys were all in some
I
like
don't know if
secret
we need to
society.
rule Jay out of that.
That's
yet.
crazy.
You know, that's
Maybe
still
I
up
just
for
assumed you
debate.
guys were in some type of secret society. So like I didn't know if everyone got a
Is there one?
superlative.
There is no secret society.
You sure? That's exactly what someone would say if they were in a secret society.
That's exactly what someone would say if they weren't in a secret society.
Wait, Colin, you said your graduating class had more than 700 people?
It was like close to 700
Dear
people.
Lord.
It was-
Mine was, I mean, that's what like
Yeah.
mine was 550, and before they split downtown, it would have been over 1,000.
Yeah. Was there? You have a smaller class, right?
Yeah, mine was like 190,
Mm.
something like that.
Okay. What we've learned here is that none of us were in our respective homecoming courts. But
No, Ryan was.
oh yes, yes, you were. Sorry, Ryan. Jesus.
Just told you that. You
I know.
immediately
Like 3
forgot.
minutes ago. I'm a bad listener.
It's okay.
It's not okay, Ryan. It's not okay.
If you were a baseball card and you were holding a bat, it would say "bad listener" on it.
I think through the magic of whatever editing program Kyle uses, that'll be out in a couple of days.
I
Anyway,
can do that right now.
That'll get sent to the group chat in a
Yeah,
few
yeah.
hours.
how do we get on the homecoming court? Oh, like Kyle said, they might announce some basketball commitments all at once. We'll see. We'll get into some hoops in the mailbag. Let's talk some Temple football, some of the recent roster news and recruiting news. Pooh Lawton committed. He's one of the visitors that Kyle reported previously on our owlscoop.com football message board. So if you're a subscriber, you knew about this guy already. So he's a D2 player, but one of the better D2 players in the country. Now, the interesting tie-in here is that his Slippery Rock team lost to Ferris State in the Division II national semifinal game. And Lawton picked off Trinidad Chambliss, the quarterback that, of course, we've talked about in some recent episodes that Temple had set for a visit before he committed to Ole Miss. But even beyond that, there's a connection there. He played at Newark's Westside High School. So he's a North Jersey guy, started 13 games as safety last year for Slippery Rock, had 36 tackles and 3 interceptions. So a pickup there to add some depth at that position. Temple was planning to bring in UMass running back CJ Hester, who was in the portal, but he committed to Michigan before Temple could get him in for a visit. Kyle, I think you mentioned this last week. I know fans don't necessarily want to hear this, but there's a plus to be taken out of this. It looks like their scouting appears to be on point. You know, if you were trying to bring in Trinidad Chambliss, ends up at Ole Miss. If you're trying to bring in CJ Hester, ends up at Michigan. They're certainly keeping some pretty good company there.
Yeah, I would agree with that, especially considering both of those examples are guys that weren't necessarily in the portal like a long time before they had visits set up for Temple, and then obviously they kind of leapfrogged or leapfrog, however you want to say by Power 4 schools. But yeah, so I think you're kind of trusting the talent evaluation at this point until shown otherwise, because that's 2 for 2 where Temple had an opportunity to kind of maybe steal a guy that was a Big Ten or an SEC talent level player. It just didn't work out. The portal is still chock full of players.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, if you have not yet subscribed to Owl Scoop, what would Declan Landis say? What'd you say,
What are
Johnny?
you doing?
Okay. Yeah, all I heard was,
But yeah, to
Sorry.
go back to what you were teasing to, I would say, look, you found out that Hester was committing to Michigan on Sunday. There's a visit this week of somebody they pivoted to after Hester. So subscribe to Owl Scoop, find out who will be on campus.
Yes, we will continue to be your best source for Temple football and basketball recruiting information. Again, we'll get into a lot of this in the mailbag, which we are going to jump to now because, again, that's going to set the agenda for the rest of the show. Right, as he does each week, our friend Mike Greenspan of Greenspan and Greenspan Injury Lawyers provides a weekly tip. Mike's talking about dogs this week, so bringing some dog content to the show. Ryan, just his face lit up, so oh yeah, Ryan's excited. So we'll hear from our friend Mike Greenspan here, and then jump into the mailbag after that.
Temple fans, there have been a lot of talk in the news about what happens when a dog bites someone. Are you the owner responsible? Well, that's due to a change in law in New York. Now, understand, whether you live in New York or Pennsylvania, you have to recognize that if you're going to go up to pet someone's dog that you don't know, you're taking a risk. So if you're a dog owner, especially if you have a rescue, make sure if you see somebody approaching that you warn them, hey, this is a rescue. Please don't try to pet this dog. Some people just don't get it, but most will. And if you're going up to someone's dog, again, ask first. This will protect you. You don't want to have to get involved in a lawsuit. You don't want to get bitten. It's all about using some common sense. Let's be safe.
All right. First question here comes from the screen name TU1834. What was the most unlikely Temple win you covered in any sport? Take the qualifier as you wish to. Unlikely Temple win in any sport. Anything jump out to any of you? This is a good question.
For me, my thought, I don't think football or basketball. I think about the field hockey team. They beat Old Dominion in the Big East semifinals this year.
Before going to
the championship, we're losing to UConn, and they had lost to Old Dominion back-to-back years prior, and they weren't, and it just felt like they were never going to get past Old Dominion in that spot in the semifinals, and they beat them. And I think it was a double overtime goal, a game that just never ended. And so for me, like, I haven't covered any giant upsets in the revenue sports, football or basketball, but that's the most unlikely win I think I've covered.
Kyle, what jumps out to you here?
I'm trying to think because a lot of the ones that immediately come to mind are like, well, looking back on it, I'm like, that wasn't that big. Like, I think you go, oh, what about Penn State? I'm like, no, like I didn't think they were going to win, but I wouldn't have been surprised going into that game. Like they were returning so much in their defense, and they were a year better, and like you had just played them, and it wasn't that much of a difference. Like I'd kind of seen that, and then honestly, I mean, if you want my like true answer, I don't think I expect this isn't even a win, so it probably doesn't qualify for the question. But I didn't expect them to be that close to the Notre Dame game in 2015.
Yeah.
Like that on national television on Halloween, the Saturday night game day. I kind of just thought like this sets itself up for like Temple kind of just can't keep up with them. And instead they did. But I mean, if I had to say win, it ended up being completely insignificant. But like a bad Rod Carey 2021 team beat Memphis with Dwan Mathis at quarterback. Like didn't expect that to happen. There's just a handful of games where I'm like, yeah, that was an upset, but like it didn't really matter. Or like I don't know. I don't think I have a great answer for this.
Yeah, I don't know that I do either. Those are the two games that I thought of too. Like Penn State wasn't unlikely because I think that Temple had the coaching advantage going into that game. That was before James Franklin brought in. Why am I forgetting his name? Is the offense coordinator they brought in from
Andy?
No, from Fordham.
Joe Moorhead.
Yeah, this is pre-Joe Moorhead, and Phil Snow just coached circles around them. But I agree with you. But like when I read this question earlier, I thought, yeah, it was not a huge upset. And I guess the only reason I land on that game is because until they actually did it, it was this monumental lift. It was their first win over Penn State since the World War II era. And going into that game and covering it and doing the preview, you think, well, I think they can do it this year. I think I actually predicted. I think I was like fairly close to the final score. I did like this prediction with Dave Jones and the Harrisburg Patriot News. But until they actually did it.
Yes, you did, because my favorite, it's still on the internet somewhere. The one comment on the Dave Jones thing is some guy being like, "In your dreams, D. Carlo." Like it was just coming. I think about it relatively often. It makes me laugh.
I forgot about that until now. But to see them actually do it, and then when they fell behind 10-0, you thought, okay, here they go here. And then Phil Snow has told this story that Tyler Matakevich has told, and said like the night before the game, he said, these guys are going to go up, they're going to score twice, and they're going to go up 10-0. And then Tyler Matakevich just sure enough, like he literally called how this game was going to go. And then there was the sack spree on Christian Hackenberg. And I agree with the Notre Dame game too. You could have seen that game unfolding in a way where like, wow, they're just going to get outclassed here. But, you know, guys like Praise Martin Aguique, or if they were sending Tyler Matakevich on a blitz and they were like playing well against Ronnie Stanley and you know, keeping, well, now Deshaun Kaiser got unlocked for that long touchdown run that hurt them. But as we've said a million times, if Will Hayes breaks differently on that pass, they might win.
I think I actually do have an answer now. Well, one I'll
Yeah.
ask, were you still covering the team for the Virginia Tech game in like 98?
That was at Virginia. No, that was at Virginia Tech, right? I don't think that was here.
Did the question say it had to be at here?
No, but I did not cover that game. That was the 98 season, right?
I believe so, yeah. It was the
Yeah.
year before Vic.
Yeah. That was, and Tech was ranked 10th.
Yeah, I think so. Or
They
like
also had a
something.
big win didn't they also have a big win at West Virginia on the road too? Or maybe I'm
That
just
sounds
blurring
right.
those two
During
games
that
together.
era for sure. I'll
Yeah.
say the answer this, and just because of the severity of it, when they beat Kansas when Kansas was top 10 by like 30 points during Dunphy's year.
Yeah.
That was like that 2014 team
Mm-hmm.
where was that the first game back for Jesse Morgan? It was like Jesse Morgan and
Devin
Devin
Coleman, they were
Coleman. And
combined.
Devin Coleman were like both finally eligible and they just came and just like dropped threes on them.
Yeah, Kansas looked like they had no interest in being there.
And then Temple didn't make the tournament that year.
Yeah.
He won the NIT
I think
instead.
you, Jeff Nyberg, and I all were covering that selection Sunday, and then
I read the tea leaves.
you did.
I did. Like I knew at the time, I was like, once it started, when it got to the final bracket, I was like, they're not making this tournament. And
Yeah.
then you kind of just heard them on the other side of the wall, realize they weren't making the tournament.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was 10 years ago.
Time flies. Time flies when you're covering Temple athletics. Am I right, Kyle?
Yeah.
Yeah. Screen name Vanter, VANTR, with a mix of lowercase and uppercase letters. Kind of looks like a ransom note. I'm not going to lie to you, Vanter, but nonetheless, any chance we'll see an interview with Arthur on the pod? Yes, we'd like to get him at some point. The Temple News interviewed him last week. Guys, once you guys put out your content there, we'll talk about it here on the Scoop. So I don't know, sometime late April,
Yeah,
early
hopefully-
May.
Within the
hopefully
next week or
so.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And get something up.
Yeah.
Yeah. JHG 722. Do we field the basketball team next season? Yes, they will field the basketball team next season. You'll start. I think you'll start seeing some names come up. I think that the coaches, and I think a few staffs are like this. They probably have some guys silently committed because again, this is almost like, not even really almost like, and it's a lot like free agency in a lot of ways, where if they were to push a kid to announce before the portal window closes, some agent out there is going to find out what he got or what he allegedly got.
Okay, so I hear you on that one, and like I agree with that one, but that caveat of when the window closes does not matter.
Right.
Because that window closes by the time
When the
this podcast
house-
is out, that window will be closed. Well, I think the real issue is when this house settlement gets pushed through,
Right,
and
that's
then
what I was gonna
once
say, then they have to wait.
yeah, schools are able to actually sign them to legally
Yes, the
binding.
contracts. Yeah. So
Which who knows when that'll happen? Could
Yep.
be today, could be tomorrow, could be 6 weeks from now. It's all up
Yeah.
to one judge when they decide to rule on it.
Kyle, your sources in the legal community will unlock that for us for next week's
Is it
pod.
Professor Ebeslage here? He can figure it out.
Oh, Tom Eveslog, what a great man. Very, very generous man. One of my mentors. Was going to attend the Temple News reunion, wasn't able to, but hopefully we'll catch up with him soon. But nice Tom Eveslog shout out on the pod. Love it.
Give me
Al-
a B minus.
Hey, that's a tough
Passing
class though. Law and ethics. Yeah.
Passing grade.
Al Worldwide is the screen name. With the men's basketball portal closing today, can we expect Aiden Tobiasen and Babatunde Duradola to both be returning? Yeah, I would. I'd be surprised at this point if they are not back. And if that's the case, then that's a win. That's a definite win for Adam Fisher.
If it changes in the next, at this point, like 9 hours, then that's like a colossal turn of events. Like
Mhm.
something drastically changed.
Yeah. Off the hook 3 on Twitter. What do you think the ceiling is for Casey Keeler at Temple? Johnny, jump in here. You were just embedded in the facility.
I was.
The confidence.
It's tough.
I like the smirk on Jay's face right now.
It's tough. Like I think obviously like
It's tough being at the
ceiling-
facility there. It's tough being the favorite
That's-
reporter.
It is.
They
it
keep
is,
the
you know.
temperature at 73 degrees. I'm more of like a 71 degree guy.
I'm more of like a 70.
I'm like a 67 degree guy. So you're preaching to the choir. Keep me chill.
I think like the realistic ceiling is like, you're not gonna make the college football playoff, but like if you can consistently get to bowl games every year, I think that's realistic ceiling where it's like in 2 years down the line, you consistently are finding your ways to get 9, 10 win seasons and get to a bowl games. I think that's the realistic one. Obviously, the hope for everyone that's listening to this and that sends in a mailbag question is that they win the American, win 11 games, and somehow get into the tournament. But I don't think that's realistic. I think if you can consistently get into bowl games and win them, I think that's the ceiling here.
Kyle, agree or disagree?
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. I if you rewind the clock 8 years ago, 10 years ago, I would have thought that everything aligned perfectly for Temple Athletics, that like their peer institution was Cincinnati, where like you could be good at both. I think since then, Cincinnati's made such big strides above past Temple, but at one point, they're pretty head to head. I'd say in this current iteration of the AAC and Temple, like there's nothing I think preventing the right staff to bring in the right players to go 6-7, 7-5, 8-4 every like on a pretty regular basis. Like we talked about this last week. I think it's easier to kind of be that upstart football program than it is to be an upstart basketball program.
Yeah.
And have like more sustained consistency. So I don't know if it happens right away. I don't know if they bring in the right guys the first year and they go from 3-9, 4 straight years to 7-5. But like crazier things have happened. You just saw Indiana buck a lifetime worth of bad football in one season. So I would agree with Johnny.
Jay, Colin, Ryan, any thoughts? Agree, disagree?
I was more focused on finding any opportunity to bring Johnny down while he was talking and waiting for him to stutter. So yeah,
Didn't happen.
not yet, not yet.
I'm with Johnny on this one. Just like you're not gonna make college football playoff as much as people would like want that to happen. That would be great. That would be great. I would love to cover a college football playoff game that Temple's in. But like just I'd see them like just being able to consistently like get in the bowl games. You're like 9-4, 10 like 9-win, 10-win seasons. That is probably I think the ceiling with them. Maybe not this year. I think this year is still maybe looking at like 5 wins. That's still a win. You went 3-9 last four. You went 3-9 last 4 seasons. I'm not looking for like a miracle here, but like I just think 9-10 win seasons is like the goal here. Is like the ceiling for this team.
Yeah,
I agree with everyone else who's echoed already. I think Casey Keeler's track record shows that he consistently get Temple to bowl games once he kind of gets his legs under him and gets the right guys in and like gets kind of the staff like fully fleshed out. Feels like he has a good staff already, but once it's like a couple years through and he like has everything kind of in place, like I think the ceiling for him at Temple can be 8, 9, 10 win seasons, consistent bowl games, competing for a chance to make the AAC championship. I think is like a realistic ceiling for him as well. So I agree with what everyone else said.
I agree. I wonder if there's going to be a year or a season, maybe it's a year or 2 years from now. Yeah, am I expecting a $25 million football donor? No, but what if they can make a little bit of progress with fundraising and they have a tad more to play with? And what if there is a year where they get like a Trinidad Chambliss or they get a running back to commit before he commits to Michigan? Again, people have good drafts, bad drafts, good recruiting years, bad recruiting years. But so far, as we said just a few moments ago, I think that they seem to be going after a lot of the right players. So sure, I think that could be around the ceiling. Not a bad ceiling to look at if you're going to look upward. It's my house joke for the day. Kyle just gave me a look. I can't look away now. Alec Boehm's burner account on Twitter. It's just not my day. I feel like I've just had a rough podcast for John DeCarlo. Alec Boehm's burner account on Twitter. Do you guys think Elijah Gray would come back if Temple grabs another 5 out of the portal so he can play his true position? Nah. Doubt
Would
it.
Temple take Elijah Gray back?
Yeah, I doubt it.
I doubt it.
No, don't think so. Interesting question. I get why someone might ask that, but that would very much surprise me. Glenn on Twitter, should we look at anyone who is transferring after the Cherry and White game being told or maybe just not going to be a part of the team's plans next year, and that's why they're in the portal? Yeah, I think so.
Sure.
Kyle, I don't think they've. So who has hit the portal?
Jamar Taylor left. Reese Clark left.
Noonan.
Brylan Newland, who is the walk-on backup long snapper, left prior to Cherry and White. I'm sure there'll still be a little bit more attrition, maybe especially guys that like weren't on scholarship, because Now, like the real number is 105 instead of 85, right? But yeah, I think of the people we mentioned, like not to get into specifics, but I know for a fact at least one of them was like basically told bye. But yeah, so no, you're on the money. It's not always just a player leaving. It's a conversation both sides at every program in the nation right now.
Two more here. One from our good friend Varun Kumar. Seeded or unseeded roll? I'll seeded roll. I like a good seeded roll.
Unseated.
Seated roll.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
For a cheesesteak, unseated roll.
Not seated.
Yeah, seeded roll.
I agree.
For a cheesesteak seated, I'll go unseated sometimes for a hoagie.
Mhm.
But for a
I need
cheesesteak,
I need it for both. I just don't really like the seeds on it. I don't I like them. I would prefer an unseated roll.
like I don't dislike an unseated roll. I don't think you're wrong for preferring that. But I feel like a lot of like the cheesesteak places I go to, it's not an option. Like it's a seated roll. Is what
What's the
you
place up
Fair
by
enough.
you that I was just at?
get. Verona Pizza.
Verona. Yeah,
And
very good.
John says this as if him and I held hands and went and got cheesesteaks together and had a long conversation over candlelit dinner. He was 4 minutes from my house. Not even a hey.
And you were on a bar crawl.
That's
I was told that
insane.
you were.
Not
I
even
was
a
told,
hey.
I was
Not
told
even a
that-
hey.
I was told that you were on a bar crawl all day and that you wouldn't be able to make it.
Correct. But you didn't know that. You're going off of like trust but verify. Okay? And you did not
Yeah.
verify with me.
You gotta check your sources, John.
Yeah, when you said that, John, I was imagining you guys hand in hand skipping down to get
Right.
food together.
For
and I
you
was-
to preface it as like that place near you makes it seem like I was there. Wasn't.
Fair enough.
Always an
Now,
afterthought.
what
Kyle.
would have happened if I had texted you while you were on that bar call and said,
I would have told you where I was at. Hey, I'm here. Maybe swing by, say hi. Meg's here. She'd love to see you. It's on your way home.
What would your response have been, John?
well, then I would have gone. I just think Kyle's
Yeah.
lying. I think he probably would have been, I think he probably would have ignored the text.
No, that's not true. No, I think I literally would have said, "Oh, sorry, I'm at Forest of Maine or whatever. Swing by."
I'm playing a 3-song set at the Keswick right now.
I don't live in Glenside.
I know, but in this scenario, you could be in Glenside.
Wasn't.
I am playing my classic cover of The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Look,
That's not what happened.
don't make light of that tragedy. It was recent. Not recently. I think the anniversary
was not recent.
The anniversary was recent.
Maybe that'll
Um,
make it into On or Around the State at some point.
No, the anniversary was in November. Okay. How many people died?
If we can get
29
Gordon
men.
Lightfoot or The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald into On or Around the State, that'd be awesome.
29 men. Lake Superior. It takes.
Yes, it does. Last question to finish off the pod. This is going to make me sound like an even worse person. Discuss this on Easter. Since I'm not having a good podcast, I'm forgetting things. I'm not a good listener. My brother-in-law, Hal Parsons, submitted this question last week, texted to me, and I forgot to answer it on the pod last week. So we sat down for Easter brunch, and he was like, I sat down with my wife, said, hey, I'm going to be on Johnny's pod this week. He said, we listened. My question was never read, never answered. Got a dirty look
Woof.
from my wife. Yeah, the worst.
You're not great.
Brutal.
Hal, I love you, buddy. Here's your question. Of the City Six, which team's mascot would win in a fight to the death? It could be a battle royale or a bracket type duel. Really up to you.
I read this question as which one would I be able to beat in a fight to the death? Okay, that makes this a lot different.
Yeah.
I think it's an obvious answer.
Wait, what was the answer?
Wait, hold up.
What was the answer for your
Yeah, what would-
your take on it?
Yeah.
I was just going to view all of them, like starting like I love Stella, I love
One
Hooter.
by
I'm
one.
bodying an owl. Like there's no scenario where an owl is messing me up. They're not big. Okay, like
Probably
they're
gonna get
big
you in
compared to
trouble with
birds.
some sort of
I'm taking
wildlife
out.
federation, right?
A bird comes down, an owl screeching, trying to dive like a little mouse. I'll hit it with a bow. We're done. Like the amount of force that it just goes
Those
on that.
claws, those claws are thick.
The
though.
talons,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not letting that get to me.
They're talons, Johnny.
I'm
That's good.
taking it to them, okay?
same
I hit it with a
thing.
bow. The amount of speed they have going, skull, it's dust. It's dust.
Wait,
They're
wait. So
done.
are we talking like actual like the mascot's like actual animal or like the mascot itself, like Hooter?
I took it as the animal they represent.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Because otherwise, they're all
that's how I
just
took it,
guys in
too.
suits, and then
Otherwise,
I'm
you're
questioning
assaulting a
whether or
human
not, like, what students in the suit that year, right? Like,
For me, I showed Jay my pick and he shook his head. I think a dragon is impossible for
right,
anyone.
dragon's
I
the
agree.
winner.
I
Like,
agree.
dragon's the winner.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a mythical creature, maybe we don't know. Breathes fire, scales, natural armor. I think dragon's the
It
winner.
flies, breathes fire, and is 3-4 times my size. It will destroy.
I think they're a bit bigger than that, probably.
Whatever. It's
Yeah.
10 times my size. Same thing.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
it's
I
the
agree.
same
I think
point.
dragon's the obvious one. Beyond that, a wildcat, you got a fighter shot. Like, you don't know. Depends if it gets stuck. If you're
It
talking
depends.
wildcat, you're not talking like a cougar. You're talking a wildcat. They're
Yeah.
tinier. I
I
think
feel
I'd
like you got
mess
to
up
get
a
the
wildcat.
jump on a wildcat. Like
I
you
think I'd
can't be
mess up
like
a wildcat. An
You could mess up a
explorer. An
wildcat?
explorer. Oh, dude, I'd crush an explorer. All I gotta do
And
is
a
show my
Quaker,
phone.
too?
I'd show my phone to an explorer. Its mind would explode. Oh wow, man, you're trying to you're trying to get to the West Coast. Guess what? Here's GPS. Here's exactly where we
Figure it out.
Which,
Figure it
We have
which
an interstate
coordinates did you
system.
find that phone?
We have an interstate system, dum dum. I don't need to go trekking through woods. I set my GPS on west. Beyond that,
What
a
if he's
hawk,
really
same
quick?
thing. Hawk, same thing as the owl. Done.
What if that explorer is like really quick with a quill pen and he's like, get you?
And a Quaker? A Quaker?
Talking about a Quaker?
Jay
A
brought up,
Quaker's not
listen,
even allowed to fight
wait,
me.
listen, remember, Jay brought up Jack Nicholson in Batman earlier. Do you remember the scene in the original Batman with Michael Keaton where he takes a
You
quill
want to get
pen,
nuts?
throws it? Yeah, let's get nuts.
Let's get nuts.
By the
We
way,
waxed.
I wouldn't expect you guys. Somebody brought up, was it in last week's episode? Somebody brought up Michael Keaton, and I said, I'm Batman, and nobody heard it.
I didn't know.
I'm really glad I did.
Is that who you associate with Batman?
I'm a Keaton guy. That was a big moment in my life when I went to go see
I think at this point, I'm a Christian Bale guy.
I am too. Johnny's probably a Ben Affleck guy, just because he wants to be different. But
Johnny, give us your
Val
Batman
Kilmer?
voice.
George Clooney?
I've already done it
about it.
before on here.
Give me your Christian
Okay.
Bale.
I wasn't on here before.
You were on.
I don't think I was. Go ahead. I don't remember.
See, now you're putting me on the spot, and this is just
Johnny, you have to run after Major League Baseball equipment at a moment's notice, and this is what's bringing pressure into your life. I mean, come on. You're putting me on the spot.
Outside of the dragon. Oh, so I'm sorry. It didn't come.
He was literally about to do it, and you cut in.
Oh wait, you gotta do it again.
No, I did it though.
I
I
do it
did it.
again.
Did it not
You did
go
One more.
through?
I don't think it went through.
It's not going. It's not coming through.
It's
It's,
not
coming through
going
weird.
through.
No, I feel like you're making me just do
No,
it over and over
legitimately, it
again.
came
No,
through, like,
legitimately isn't.
distorted.
I think you're too close to the mic.
I am Batman. I feel like my first two are a lot better than the third one.
You've
You
done this,
snap-
and I'm telling you, it reminds me of the Pete Holmes like sketches where he pretends to be Batman. So
Or like you sound like a just a third-rate Batman impersonator in Times Square.
I never said that I was Batman. Well, I guess I did.
well,
Just say it.
you literally
I,
just
yeah.
claimed
Literally
to
just
be.
said-
I never claimed. I never claimed before that to be Batman.
I'm saying other than a dragon,
Mhm.
maybe the explorer. Depends how good of an explorer. Like an explorer versus me, no shot. An explorer versus other mascots. They're
Does the-
foraging, they're hunting. He's probably killing birds all the time.
Well, so does
Yeah.
the dragon have a weak spot? Like, is there any other mascot that could go in and like sneak up on the dragon and like poke its eyes out or something like that? I'm trying to
Like
think
in the
creatively
world?
here. Yeah.
Any
Like-
other mascot in the
Could
world?
no. Could a hawk, an
No,
owl,
no.
a quaker?
No.
No.
Even if I don't even think if they teamed up together and put their
No.
heads. I don't think so.
I don't think they stand a chance against a dragon.
Hmm.
But me,
What if it's like?
But
What if it's
me-
like Pete's? What if it's like?
I got a
Pete's
puncher
dragon?
shot. Like you never know. I'm throwing something. Maybe it gets in between the scales. Maybe I
Kyle-
die, but that rock gets lodged in the scales. He gets an infection. He's got little arms. Dragons have little
Kyle-
arms. They
Kyle, you
can't
have-
reach. They can't reach behind their back. That slowly it festers. It festers. He starts going around to other dragon parties. They're smelling it on him. They're saying, "What is that, man? You got to get that checked out." I did. I went to the dragon doctor. His little arms couldn't peel back anyways. I've been buried. You've all mourned me. You come the 1 year anniversary of my death. You come to put flowers on my grave. You're reading the newspaper. Puff the magic dragon, dead. Infection got into his bones.
He said, did he go to Dragon Urgent Care?
It doesn't exist. The infrastructure is not there. You would need massive hangar-sized buildings all throughout the world just to support a handful of dragons. Not a good business model.
Aren't there various sizes of dragons? You're thinking, I think, like Game of Thrones dragons.
Oh, the
like,
Game of Thrones dragons started off small too.
Well, that,
yeah.
that wasn't specified though. Like what type
Yeah,
of dragon
look,
are we
if
talking
it's
about here?
if it's the dragons that came out when Khaleesi burnt herself in the pyre and like there's just 3 little tiny baby dragons, yeah, I'm murdering those dragons. But I'm envisioning a full-grown dragon because it's progressed in its life and chosen to be a mascot. It has a job. There are dragon labor laws.
It's domesticated.
There are dragon labor laws. You can't just have a 6-week-old dragon out there being a mascot.
I wish you guys could see Colin's face.
Are there dragon lawyers? Like how did they?
There's
make
there's
in
whatever-
this scenario a whole dragon universe. There's
Yeah.
dragon actuaries, dragon attorneys, dragon taxidermists.
dragon taxidermy? Is there a dragon version of the Scoop?
Dragon podcast.
Yeah,
Like, just
Dragon
like a bunch
podcast,
of dragons sitting around a laptop.
Welcome
Yeah.
into the huff.
constantly mess up their equipment.
On and around this date presented by dragons.
Do you think we have it in the Scoop budget to bring Amelia Clark on the Scoop next week so we can talk to her about dragons?
2025,
I thought we
maybe.
said we were gonna get Taylor
2000,
Swift before
2011,
anyone
we
else.
wouldn't have, but with her career, you never know. It's taking
Jeez.
a bit of a plummet.
She can probably sit back and relax and not work a whole lot right now.
I don't know. It depends. I mean, you never know with some of those contracts because she was like an unknown actress. I imagine by the end she was making a lot of money, but in the beginning, you never know.
Well, covered a lot of ground as always. Hal, thank you for the question, buddy. I'm sorry I missed it last week. Hal's got a
If
birthday
I was
coming
Hal,
up.
if I was Hal, I would not listen this week. I would have given you 1 week to read my question.
Shouting out Hal's
I agree.
Hal's birthday's coming up. Happy early birthday, buddy.
Oh, my mother's birthday is tomorrow. Whatever, or by the time it comes out, it might be her birthday.
Happy
So-
birthday, Mrs. Gauss.
Yes, happy birthday.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
All right. Good stuff, guys. We'll talk more Temple recruiting, football, basketball, roster developments next week. Thanks again for listening to us, for all the Dragon Talk and Mascot Talk. We'll see you guys next week.